Welcome to Murf's Turf, a Star Trek Prodigy podcast. This is Star Trek's first kid show as seen on Nickelodeon and Paramount Plus. My name is Brent, aka Dad, and here with me is my progeny, Jude. Say hi, Jude.
Hi, everybody.
Jude, I'm really excited. You want to know why?
Why?
Because this week we get to record a podcast where I don't have to edit it.
Yay!
Because you get a very first time, you're going to be a guest on another podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
We are going to be joining our new friends, Mike and Emily, over at the Discovering Trek Prodigy podcast. And that should be releasing sometime the same time around as this one. And we'll be talking about the very same episode. So a lot of the content might be the same, but you guys make sure you go over there and give them a shout out, give them a listen, subscribe, all that kind of stuff over there at Discovering Trek Prodigy, their podcast. You can check them out on Twitter at Trek Legacy is how you can find them out there. All right, Jude, we're here. We're here to talk about the latest episode of Star Trek Prodigy. This is their 8th episode entitled Time Amok. Are you ready to get into this one?
Yes.
All right. Well, Jude, we've got some other stuff that we've got to take care of before we get there. First, I do want to let everybody know that this show is a spoiler-filled podcast.
It is.
If you're listening to this show, we are going to talk about everything having to do with the most recent episode of Star Trek Prodigy. As I've already mentioned, in this case, it is episode 8, Time Amok. So if you've not watched that episode yet, pause this show. Don't delete it. Pause it. Go watch Time Amok because you have to watch this episode.
Yeah, it's so good.
So good.
Yeah.
Did it make you cry at all? Did
Why?
it make you tear up? It made me tear up. I got to be honest. I think it just might be my big old daddy heart. I was like, oh no.
Rock is alone for 267 days plus.
Or 76. I don't know how long she was alone, but it was way too long, as Janeway said.
She was 6 years, 9 years old.
I know, right? Or she's going to sleep at night and she's saying goodbye to everybody who's not there, and she's holding her own like stuffed version of Murf. And I just, well, we're going to talk about all this. We're going to talk about all this, but Jude, I don't want to get too far ahead because one of the greatest things that we love to do here, you know what we do? Just kick off every show.
What?
We read emails and reread tweets.
Wait. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, when people contact us, you never know who calls us or contacts us. We do. We love reading them here on air. And Jude, we didn't get any emails this week. It's 2 weeks in a row. Tweets? We did get tweets. You want to hear some tweets?
Yeah, sure.
We love when people interact with the show. So our friend Jeff over at the Starfleet Academy podcast, he was listening this week.
What?
Yeah. And he really apparently enjoyed the part of the show last week where you said Janeway is the ship, but I thought you said something else. And he thought it was very funny. Hopefully the kids out there are like, I don't understand what you're talking about. The adults all understand exactly what I'm saying right now. To which Jeff said, yes, Janeway is both the ship and the ... because he didn't want to say the next word. Because I thought you said something else.
What did you think I said?
I can't say it. This is a family-friendly show. I'm not going to say it. That's why I was really surprised when you said it. So that's Jeff. Julie Benson, one of the Star Trek Prodigy writers, listened to the show, or actually, I don't know if she listened to the show. Maybe she just saw the show's title, because apparently she had a problem with the title of our episode a couple episodes ago. The title of that episode was Murder Planet Ate This Episode.
Why?
Well, because that was the episode 5 that like took us all of the hiatus to get out, right? And she tweeted back because anyone who knows the show, anybody who's actually watched Star Trek Prodigy knows that according to Rock Talk, the actual correct name of Murder Planet is Larry. So we should have said Larry ate this episode.
Wait, how do we know it's Larry?
Because that's what Rock Talk, she wanted to name the planet Larry, remember? And Jankum was like, no, we're going to do Murder Planet. She's like, I wanted to name him Larry.
I liked Larry.
Right, exactly.
Chickums nice and warm.
I'm gonna say this name, and I want to apologize in advance if I pronounce it incorrectly. Nami Melumad. She tweeted at us after the hiatus episode, the We Hate Hiatuses episode.
Okay.
And she very much loved where I had quoted, again, this is more for the adults. You won't necessarily understand the reference, but she loved where I said, we were on a break. So she tweeted at us, and then she tweeted a couple other things talking about, but Nami, I think is how you say it. Maybe Nami. She is the composer for the score for Star Trek Prodigy. Now, you just learned what the score is. Do you remember? What is the score for a movie or for a TV show?
The music?
It is. Yeah, it's the music. So she's the composer for the music for Star Trek Prodigy. She works on the show. She builds all that emotional music that goes in behind everything. So that was Nami. She tweeted at us. She's one of the composers. Thank you, Nami. And I have to tell you, Emily over at the Discovering Trek Prodigy podcast was absolutely right to give Nami a huge shout out for the score, particularly for this episode, with some of the beats and stuff that we heard in this episode. Is just really touching. This was a heartfelt episode, right? Mm-hmm. So now, Jude, we did have one more, but this is a new one for us. This isn't a tweet. This isn't an email. One of the things people can do is they can go online and they can leave a review of the podcast on Apple Podcasts. And we got our very first review this week. So I want to read that to you, Jude. Here's what it says. This is a 5-star review. That's the best you can get. By JT Allen. And JT says, this is such a well done podcast. Jude's reactions and thoughts are on point. My daughter always looks forward to this and can't wait to hear if Jude liked the same things that she liked in the show.
That's cool.
Yeah, JT, thanks. And I don't know what your daughter's name is, but say hi to JT's daughter, Jude.
Hi, JT's daughter.
There you go. Well, Jude, we're definitely going to get into talking about all of the things that you liked in this show. But before we do that, can you remember how folks out there can get in touch with us?
Murf's Turf Prodigy Podcast at gmail.com, or at Twitter. It's
so close. Hold on. Stop there. It's Murf's Turf Podcast at gmail.com. That's our email address. Okay. What's our Twitter address?
Murf's Turf Pod.
That's it. At Murf's Turf Pod is how you guys can get a hold of us out there on Twitter. Or like JT, head over to Apple and leave us a rating and review. That'll really, we'd really appreciate it. And whichever way you guys choose to get in contact with us, we'd love to read it about it next week on right here at Murf's Turf. All right, Jude, you ready to get into it? You want to talk episode 8? Let's talk Time Amok. Now, once again, just a reminder, fair warning, this is a spoiler-filled podcast. So this is your last chance. If you don't want to be spoiled and you haven't seen the episode yet, turn it off.
Don't delete it.
Yeah, don't delete it. Just turn it off for right now and come back to us as soon as you're done. Jude, would you like to try and go for the recap of this week's episode?
Yes, I want to try.
Do it. Do it.
Teams falling apart, and they need some sort of working together thing. And they have a chicken, a grain, a sack of grain, and a fox. How would you get both creatures aside without one eating each other?
Do you know the answer to this riddle?
No, I don't.
Okay, so the thing is you can only take one in the boat at a time. Okay, that's the caveat. All right, so the wolf will eat the chicken will eat the grain.
Yep.
Okay, so what are the two things that won't affect each other?
Fox and the grain.
The fox and the grain. Okay, so if you can leave the fox and the grain on the same side at the same time, you're good, right? Mm-hmm. So the first trip over, you take the chicken. You leave the chicken on the other side. Okay, then you go back to the other side by yourself. Take either one, fox or grain. Which one do you want to take? Doesn't matter.
Fox.
We're going to take the fox. We're going to take the fox back to the other side, but we can't leave the fox over there because he's going to eat the chicken, right? Mm-hmm. So now we're going to pick the chicken back up and we're going to go back to the other side. All right. But now we're going to have to take the grain because we can't leave the chicken with the grain together, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to grab the grain. We're going to leave the chicken back on the first side, right? We're going to take the grain over. We're going to leave the grain. So now the fox and the grain are back on the other side. And we're going to go back by ourselves and we're going to pick up the chicken and so the chicken gets to go back and forth like 4 times. Right? While you're going back and forth like 6 times. So that's how you do it. That's how you get it over. So they're needing to learn how to work as a team because what happens?
Then they enter this name that starts with a T storm.
A Tachyon Storm.
And they get split up into different time loops. While Rock is going really slow, a lot of the others is moving pretty fast. And they just leave Murf there.
And so what do they have to do?
And so and then everywhere it just blows up, except for Rock's, because hers moves really slow. She had to learn a whole bunch of math and science, and she makes the Protostar core matrix.
The warp matrix that will stabilize the Protostar core.
Yep. Yeah. And brings Janeway back after he got deleted.
Or she.
Yeah. Got deleted from Dreadnought 2.
Because Dreadnought got sent
And
into
then they come back, and then Gwen's like a sister to Rock.
Yeah. Oh, they were all like one big family at the end, right? The big hut, Dow's like hanging off of Rock's neck, and Murf plops on Rock's head, and it's like, oh, Murf. All right, yeah, that's
button. Murf loves dropping on people.
There you go. That's pretty good. So yeah, they had to they had to wind up working together, and Janeway was the only one. Hologram Janeway was the only one who could go between the different times to communicate with each other. Yeah, so they had to work together to actually make it all work.
Yeah, but I don't think it actually worked on purpose. Like I don't think she could like go back to like Rock if she is in Dow's.
Oh, you don't think she could control where she went?
No, I don't.
Oh.
I mean, how would she?
Well, I think there was a point where they said that she could control something about her time thing that would let her go from spot to spot. But we only saw, it felt like she was just sort of disappearing and reappearing in random places, you know?
Yeah.
Although she did get to Rock twice.
She did.
Right.
Because everywhere else blew up.
Right. So.
Well, also she had to because Rock reprogrammed.
Yeah. I think I thought that she was able to control it, but maybe she wasn't. And maybe she was just kind of, you won't understand this reference, quantum leaping it into, that's a really old sci-fi show, Jude. Don't worry about it. Anyway, yes. Anyway, that's a good recap, Jude. I definitely like it. So my young progeny, let's get into it.
Okay, so
how'd you like this episode? Let's talk about your favorite moments. Go for it, pal.
Okay, the beginning.
Oh, the opening sequence again?
Yep.
Which, by the way, okay, we always talk about the animation.
And the music.
Let's talk about the score. I think I said this on our very first episode. And Nami, if you're listening, I have often said that I think Voyager has the best opening score out of all the Trek series until Prodigy. I think Prodigy's their opening credit score is fantastic. And
oh my gosh.
You know, shout out to the rest of the score along with it, because it really is just, it's so good. It's so good and it's so fitting. So yeah, good stuff. What else you got?
Foxy wouldn't hurt a feather. When the chicken had feathers and the fox, and then Rock said the Foxy won't hurt a feather. I thought that was funny. I don't know. Just something that popped up in my head. And Jacob Pog wants to eat fox.
But Jacob Pog isn't just eating a fox. Jacob Pog, you know, they're worried about the chicken eating the grain. But when everything's like going to heck around him, Jacob's just sitting there on the bank. He's shoveling handfuls of the grain into his mouth himself. Forget the chicken. You got to worry about Jacob.
The Apollo 13. I like that they brought that in.
Yeah. Do you remember watching that film?
I think I only watched like a sixth of it.
Yeah. You didn't watch it. We tried watching it for school one day, and it was too far over your head at that particular time.
Whoop.
Yeah, but maybe we'll get back to it.
The screw when Dow was screwing in everything for the Matrix thing. It was the Star Trek symbol. If anybody caught that.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Like the place where you put your screwdriver. It was the Star Trek symbol?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That's cool. No, I didn't catch that at all.
Gwen was so nice to Rock. I loved that so much.
Oh, Gwen, yeah.
Gwen was so nice to Rock in her little message thing, and when they got off, I just loved it. And
yeah, Gwen was she was the big sister that Rock needed.
Yeah.
You know, like she knew exactly what Rock needed. She knew exactly the kind of encouragement. I loved her message where she's like, look, Rock, I'm sorry that we keep making you the security officer. You should be whoever you want to be. Like, that's true. And then she also said, but look, if you're ever going to get the chance to be that, then we need you to do this. You know, like, I know it's big, but we're counting on you. So it was, good stuff.
And the fact that they had like more ships of like the same kind, the same like how it got timed, like how there was more ships. I just loved that from the other Star Trek episode. I don't really remember the episode, but I know there was a Star Trek episode where
Are you talking about when they were trying to explain how the ship got shattered into the different times? They had like the image, like the graphic, where they showed all the different ships. Yeah, other ships are cool.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else as far as your favorite moments go?
Yes. I loved when Murf was in the ship and was in the little boat. Like, wee!
And he got pushed out to sea, and they're like, oh, who was watching the boat? I think that's when it flashed to Jankum, and Jankum was eating great. He's like, not Jankum. Yeah. Oh, Murf's great. I really love the part with Murf Because let's just talk about Murf. We should add like a new section like Murf Watch where we just talk about what Murf does.
Yeah.
But I mentioned it earlier, but like when they're kind of doing the family hug at the end and Murf just everybody goes into hug Rock and my thought was, where's Murf? He's not in that. And then he just plops down but you sort of see it in the background, like over Gwen's shoulder. Just and then can we also talk about when Janeway was jumping through the different timelines and like she turns around and is like, okay, I need you to do this. And she turns around and it's Murf and she's like, ugh. And Murf's just sitting there and he vomits out something. I don't know what it was that he threw up. I don't know what that thing was.
Ooh. Maybe it was one of the pieces where like the clean the house thing from episode 6.
Oh, like
5?
the little robot things?
Yeah.
I was thinking it might be the coupler that they kept trying to look for later on.
Yeah. That'd be funny.
Yeah. All right, you got any other favorite moments?
Oh yeah, when I first heard Matrix, I thought like they were gonna go into the computer. Like Zero would would put a little of her thing, and like Janeway would go through with her and trying to go through and like try to fix stuff.
That she would go into the Matrix.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It's all digitized. Give her a phone so she can zip into there and go bullet time with it. Yeah. Man, I tell you, I like you. I loved the chicken, the fox, and the grain thing. All right, who gave you sugar tonight? Because I did not.
I think it was from that tiny little sip of Skittle water.
Skittle water. That is sugar-free Skittle water, by the way, Jude.
No.
All right, let's see here.
I'm just excited for the video, I think.
There you go. I got to tell you, this was an episode for me, Jude, where there wasn't a whole lot of like favorite moments of things that just made me laugh or things that gave me like warm fuzzies. This was not a warm fuzzy kind of an episode to me.
No.
This was an emotional,
sad, heartbreaking.
I wouldn't say it wasn't sad or heartbreaking. Maybe it was. No, maybe it was.
Yeah,
because I think you got to take the whole episode into account. Like it worked out well.
Rock was just alone for over 200 days.
Maybe it was 200 days. We're not really sure how long it was. We know it took her 276 tries to get Janeway back, and she had to learn quantum mechanics and math and a whole bunch of it. I think I just assumed that it was 1 day per try,
maybe.
But we never actually told how long it really takes. But this was an episode that gets you in the feels. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of my favorite moments really were very feeling moments. And one of them really was Janeway. It was Janeway overall. And some of these moments kind of encapsulate this whole thing. But I talked about this on the Discovering Trek podcast that we did, Jude.
Yep.
Not only do I get to serve as your dad, but I also am your coach. Like I coach you in baseball and much in life and other things.
In school.
And different things like that. And one of those things that I know as a coach, Jude, is that often I can see things for you and for your teammates that you guys don't see for yourself. A lot of times I believe in you guys more as your coach and as your teacher, more than I see even you guys believing in yourself. And it's my job as a coach to get you to see that about yourself and to get you to do stuff. And that means like when we're out there doing baseball, like I tell you all the time, I can't pick up a bat and a ball and a glove and go play the game for you.
No.
You have to be the one to do that. When you're solving math problems, and you say, Dad, how do I do this? I say, I don't know, Jude, how do you do it? I can't solve it for you. You have to be the one to do it. And I try to help draw that out of you. And Janeway, I thought, did a fantastic job. Now, this might have been just me as a dad looking at it from my perspective, where you as a kid maybe got a different perspective, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I love that Janeway was a really good coach to each one of the characters throughout the different timelines that she was going through. And in many ways, I felt like she became the real Janeway that those of us who watched Voyager got to know and love. That being said, okay?
Yeah.
Some of those moments of Janeway coaching, one of them stands out to me right away where she was talking to Dal. And you remember with Dal's like,
Yep.
I can't do this. I'm just going to mess it up. And he's like, I don't know where to get this part. And she tells him the story about Apollo 13 that you referenced a minute ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, these guys on Apollo 13, they didn't know what to do either, or they didn't have all the stuff. But he said, Janeway said to Dow, she said, you have something that those guys also had. And he's like, whatever, but then Janeway goes, right. She goes, no, you have ingenuity. Do you know what ingenuity means?
Nope.
Ingenuity is the idea that like you can create a solution. You can get creative and figure something out even if you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Like, so, hey, Dow, you don't know what these parts are, but you can go figure it out, or you can find something to work like those parts.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so Dow's and she called that out in Dow, like he wasn't going to do it because he didn't know how to, until she's like, yeah, but you have ingenuity. And then she says that, she's like, so what are you going to do with it? Are you going to go do something about it? Or are you just going to, waste your time? And Dow got to it. She coached it out of him. She did the same thing with Rock, of saying, Rock, you can do this, and you have to do this, right? She did it with Gwen. We saw her do it. I loved Janeway and how she was acting with the whole crew this time.
Yeah, I did too.
Also, I mentioned this. I liked this episode overall because I thought this was just a great episode of science fiction. This was just a good episode of TV. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It wasn't like as serialized as say the first 5 episodes we saw.
No.
Like, and these last couple episodes have been like that. It's like, here's this episode. Okay, now that episode's done. Now here's the next episode. And that it's not like this one big, huge story that if you miss something, you've missed the whole deal. So I like that. And then also, and this was more fun, I just like that Gwen blew Dreadnought 2 out of the airlock.
Oh yeah.
And he just goes flying off into space. Like, I love that. That's such a great, like, spaceship Voyager, I'm going to blow you out the airlock. Like, you always threatened to do that. And she actually did it. So I like that one.
It's kind of like the thing from Puss in Boots where he does the cool thing where like, it's like a starfish and he's just flying through the air while he's kind of doing a cartwheel.
There you go. Only not in space. All right, Jude. Well, let's move on. This is what I call this for the Trekkies. All right. This is that part where like I kind of see some things as an old, long time Star Trek person, and you as a new person, you may catch or you may not. So a couple of the things that, Jude, I've got to tell you about. One, I was really worried when I first saw the title to this episode.
Why?
Like really worried, because the title of this episode is Time Amok.
Why?
Well, because time has gone all messed up. Yeah. Okay.
Why a monk?
The problem with that is that's also a play on an episode of the original series Star Trek all the way back in the 1960s, which was like 55 years ago now, Jude. Okay. What? That's like when your grandmother was your age is when this episode came out. Okay. But the title of that episode was Amok Time. Okay. Now in that episode, there is some real like grown up stuff that happened that I was like, but Prodigy's a kid show. Are they going to do some of that stuff here, but for kids? And I don't know how those two would work. Like, I was like, how are they going to do that? I don't understand.
Isn't it totally different though?
It's entirely different. And what happened in this episode was nothing at all like what happened in the other episode. And I was so glad for that. I get the name of the title. It's just referencing that time has gotten all jacked up. I get it. I'm all for it. But I got to tell you, Hageman Brothers and all you producers over there at Star Trek Prodigy, as a dad who knows Star Trek, it made my heart beat a little faster with worry that they did that. So anyway, those were just some of the, and one of the other things I noticed, I got my very first 47 out of this episode.
Oh yeah.
Now, Jude, that what is 47 in Star Trek? That's a thing in Star Trek.
Easter eggs?
It's Easter eggs. Yeah, they kind of hide this number 47. They've done it all the way back since Next Generation, where the writers just, or even the producers, like they just hide 47 throughout the show. And it's, you kind of like find them like hidden Mickeys at Disney World.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look, there it is. Oh, look, there it is. I found my very first 47.
I'm trying to find a guy with a Brady jersey, a Patriots Brady jersey at at
any NFL game whatsoever,
or any WrestleMania thing.
Well, I don't know about that. I haven't been to all the WrestleManias, but yeah, you're absolutely right, because there's always one,
and
right?
There was.
There's always one, right?
Yep.
So I found my very first 47. It was in Dreadnought 2 when he was doing the thing to terminate Janeway's program.
Yeah.
And his voice changed to Chakotay's voice, or Chipotle's voice, right? It sounded a little bit like him. And he gave like a command code to and he was like, Chakotay Alpha 788472 or something like that.
47. There we go.
Yeah, there it is. There's the 47. Oh, was it a command code of 8472? That's another Voyager Easter egg if that was it. Oh, I'm going to have to go back and look and see what the code was because species 8472 was a bad guy in Voyager. Anyway, so that is my For the Trekkies segment. All right, Jude, let's bring it down. What are some, we talk about every week some questions that we have, things that this brings up. And did we learn anything? Did we have any questions answered? Did you have any questions answered that you've had from previous episodes?
No, I do not.
Yeah, that's fair. Because honestly, this episode was very kind of in and of itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it didn't
had
really
nothing to do with any others. Like you could watch the first one, you know who everybody is, and then you could just watch this one.
Yeah, like in the overall story, it was just Nandi, the Ferengi person from the last episode, told him where they were, and then he sent Dreadnought 2. Mm-hmm. And Dreadnought 2, the eyeball came on at the end. Like that's really it as far as moving the story forward.
I know,
we didn't get any. I don't know that we got any real answers. Like apparently, so Janeway recognized Dreadnought, right? When she saw him, like right before he deactivated, she's like, I know you. You're the one who did something to the crew, and you're the one. And he goes, close. But not exactly, not quite. So I wonder what he meant by that. That's a question I have going forward. But so somehow Dreadnought was involved in the capture of the original crew, right?
Yeah.
So that, I mean, that's really all that I have as far as things I think that we learned, but let me ask you this. While we want to learn questions about, I'll tell you something that I did learn this week.
Okay.
That wasn't really in this show.
Yeah.
One of the long running questions I've continued to have about this show is remember where I was always about, where is it? Where is it? Is it in the Delta Quadrant?
We know when it is now.
Now I want to know when it is. And the only reason why I know when, well, first of all, they gave a star date, which apparently was not accurate. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But the when, and the only reason I know this is because I heard the Hageman brothers talking about it on an interview that they did with the Trek Geeks during one of their charity campaigns this past week. And if I was a really good host, I would have all of the Trek Geeks charity campaign information pulled up in front of me, and I don't. I'm so sorry, Dan and Bill and all of you guys over there at Trek Geeks. Fantastic job with what you guys did, by the way. They raised over $78,000 to give to a program that helps feed the hungry.
Yay!
Yeah, so cool, man. So
Can we
cool.
donate money over there?
Do what?
Can we donate money over there?
We gave some money to that.
Yay!
We did. So anyway, they got through all that. So fantastic job. But they had a lot of Star Trek people on to do interviews and stuff. And the Hageman brothers, who are the guys who make Star Trek Prodigy, they were one of them. And they said that it's set about 5 years or so after Voyager gets back home.
Oh.
So it's not that far into the future.
No.
Now, that is one thing I learned. So I can put that lesson to bed. But we're not just learning about facts about the show. The show is also trying to teach us something, right? Mm-hmm. Good Star Trek always teaches us something. So Jude, let me ask you, what was the lesson you think this week? What did Star Trek teach you as a kid? What did you pick out of this? Say that one more time.
Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself. Talk about that a little bit, Bid.
Like when Dal was like, I can't do this. I'm probably just going to mess up. And then Janeway starts talking about Apollo 13. And then he can't do the vehicle replicator. So he just goes and gets all the pieces. If you believe in yourself, you can do anything. And
that is a lesson, Jude, as your dad, that I hope you take to heart and you really learn that.
Okay.
If you believe in yourself, you really can do it. Now, you may have to work at it. Okay. You may have to go to extra school, kind of like Rock did, where she had to go learn a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. You may have to get out and practice harder. You may have to learn some things you've never learned before. All right.
Okay.
But I really hope you learn that if you really believe in yourself, then you really can do pretty much anything out there. It may require more work, but you can get it done if you believe that you can. All right. Mm-hmm. I really hope you do that. Did you get any other lessons out of that?
Off the top of my head, no, not really. And if I look at my notes, I didn't get any others.
Well, I'll give you one more, and it's just because Janeway said it a lot.
Just give it.
Work together.
Work together.
You've got to work together.
Yes.
I think that was a big piece of it. You've got to work together. You can't let your failure tear your team apart, she says to Dal at some point.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. You've got to learn to work together. And that's a big piece. You have to depend on other people to do their job. You've got to trust. Remember, I like the part with Dal where he's like, I built this whole thing, but I forgot this little thing. I failed. And he's like, well, what do I do now? And Janeway just says, we got to trust the others to pick it up from here. You moved the ball down the field a little bit. You advanced it. Now we got to trust the other people to pick it up from here. And that's a great lesson to learn as well. You got to be able to work with your team, work with your crew. So, all right, Jude, well, let's wrap this around. What questions did you have going forward coming out of this week's episode?
What happened to Captain Chipotle?
Just call him that from now on. Go ahead, man.
Chakotay?
Hey, good job. You got it right. High five.
Yay.
Wait, there you go.
Look at each other's elbows when you do it. You'll always make it.
Absolutely. If you guys don't know what Jude just said, if you're giving a high five, you always look at the other person's elbow. And if they look at your elbow, you'll always hit each other square right in the middle of the hands.
Yep.
It's kind of weird how that works.
I know.
Anyway, so Captain Chakotay.
Yep.
Chipotle. Yeah.
And the crew. Maybe they were miners on the cloaked
the planet.
prison.
Yeah. that's what I think.
Maybe.
I think they got captured. I think they're miners somewhere different from where everybody else was.
Or maybe they got they got sent to another planet, maybe. And maybe they are there and they're waiting for the Protostar to go back and pick them up.
Oh, you mean like maybe they got stranded on a planet and they're waiting? Yeah, they're going to see what's going on. Yeah, I think that's a great question. What happened to the crew?
I have another one.
Yeah,
when Chakotay left with his crew, was Janeway actual Janeway aboard, or was it hologram Janeway? Did the actual Janeway retire and Chakotay just wanted a Janeway around and so
Dude, I don't think anybody's ever thought of that. Was the real Janeway on board with Captain Chakotay and his crew, along with training hologram Janeway? Oh my gosh, that would be
crazy.
The real Janeway could show up
in the show. What the heck?
Oh my gosh. And here's the thing, Jude. There are some people who write novels and stuff. I know that the plot of one of the novels is Chakotay has taken over as the captain of Voyager, and he goes back to the Delta Quadrant and Janeway is with him. So maybe this is the show kind of doing a riff on that. What if Janeway was with him? That's okay. Hey, Aaron, I know you're listening out there, and all the rest of you, Julie and everybody, the brothers Hageman. Hopefully you guys are listening still too. Tweet at us and let us know if Jude just nailed it. Let us know if Jude just nailed it. Is Janeway the person in the Delta Quadrant trapped somewhere? Was she on board the ship?
I just blew your mind.
That's bigger than Dal has a tail coming out the back of his head.
Yo, I might be actually more surprised that came out of my mouth than when the Green Bay Packers lost to the San Francisco 49ers. Well, you
can't just say that into a show. Somebody might have recorded that game and they're still waiting to watch it.
Oh no.
Of course, this show's not coming out till a couple of days after the game played, so hopefully they already know. But hey, listen.
Oh my God.
Jude, we told them at the beginning that this show is full of spoilers.
Yeah.
All right. Jude, any other questions you have going forward? I think you just skipped from questions going forward into what's going to happen next week or in the future episode. So what else? Take either one. Do you have any other thoughts of what might happen in another episode or questions that you have going forward?
Yes.
All right.
Who was on the ship? Was maybe who else was on the ship? I want to know who else was on the ship.
You mean both like with Chakotay and all those guys?
Mm-hmm.
So your question really is, I think your question is my question. And this has been true since we first saw Chakotay pop up a couple episodes ago.
How haven't you come up with that?
But I think the bigger question that we've had ever since we saw Chakotay a couple of episodes ago is what happened to that crew? What happened to Chakotay? What happened to the crew? How did Janeway get her memory wiped? Who else was on board the ship? Was it actual Admiral Janeway or someone else?
Who knows?
I don't know, but I think that's a big question that we have going forward. I think another question, I don't know that we had many questions really answered. And I think most of the questions going forward are the same questions we've had from last episode and maybe even the episode before, so what about Captain Chakotay? What's the history? Who wiped Janeway's memory? What is the Diviner's deal?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like what is this order that he's a part of, and why wasn't he allowed to have any children? And you know that it was such a big deal that he created.
Maybe
Gwen.
he couldn't have had children.
Well, they made it seem like he wasn't allowed to have children.
How?
It's just against their rules. I don't know. That's what we got to find out. I don't know. We got to find that out, you know?
Yeah.
And I do have this one. I still have the question of how did so many Alpha Quadrant species end up in the Delta Quadrant, especially now that we know that it's only so many years after Voyager makes it home. How's everybody getting back out to the Delta Quadrant? And then this one's just really bugging me. Rock comes in at the very end and she goes, I think it's time we talk about my job title. Well, what is her new job title? Engineer? Maybe a science officer? She gonna be a doctor? She gonna be like, I don't know. What's she gonna be? We already have an engineer, and the science officer, wouldn't that be Zero? Although he also seems like a pilot as well.
Dal's a captain?
Yeah. So, and if Rock's not going to be the security officer, then who's going to be the security officer? Don't say Murf.
Dang it.
Although it could be Murf.
I mean, who knows? When he blew up with the big grenades, like he got bigger. Maybe that's from the explosion, or maybe he can get bigger on purpose, but he just didn't want to get bigger so he would scare Rock. And maybe Murf could have actually fixed the ship, and maybe Janeway was just like, maybe Janeway didn't think that he could do it, and so maybe he can like transform and have like feet and legs and can reach in high places. Kind of turns into like Odo.
I think one thing's clear,
like a new kind of changeling.
I think one thing's clear. Murf doesn't need the rest of the crew there because Murf can do everything.
Maybe
because Murf's that awesome. He could just do everything. Murf doesn't need anybody else there.
He hit the pew pew button.
He did.
Nobody else could.
He did. All right, Jude. You got any other questions or anything else you think will happen next week? Or are you good?
Yes. In one of the first episodes, you saw that he has like orange slime all around him. And with the tubes, I just now realized this. And with the tubes, like it's purple. Like he has purple slime going through his things. Like maybe that's who keeps him alive.
Are you talking about the diviner?
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see.
And like maybe
I didn't know who you were talking to about there.
And like maybe like the orange is kind of like hot blood and the purple is kind of like cold blood. Like
maybe
blood with oxygen is red and blood without oxygen is blue. That's weird. That's so weird.
All right, Jude. All right. Well, I think you have officially exhausted all of your people. But Jude, all right, give us some final thoughts on this episode. Time Amok. Did you like it? Where would you rank? Where does this rank? Is it your favorite, least favorite? Where do you put it?
It's probably not one of my favorites. Although
because it was a heavy episode.
Yeah, like
it wasn't fun.
No.
But it was a good episode.
It was, but like they made everybody be alone. Why?
They all died. Why? They all died except for Rock at the end.
I know. Why?
Even Janeway died.
I know.
She got erased. Like she even died, but they all came back. So hey, that's sci-fi right there. Everybody dies, but then they come back. That's how sci-fi works, man.
What?
That could be like every sci-fi show every week. Everybody dies and then they all come back. But listen, guys, thank you guys so much for listening and joining us out there. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Too. Jude, you like this episode though?
I did.
Yeah.
Although it wasn't my favorite, I liked it.
All right, there you go. Well, that's, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Whenever you rank episodes, the thing about it is not all of them can be your favorite. You've got to put them in order, right? And it's okay that you like, it doesn't mean you don't like it, but I think that this is going to go down as one of the best Star Trek episodes ever. And I mean that over the entire franchise.
Oh, wait, what?
But that's because of I think the emotional weight, the themes of this one. Like this is not a happy episode. This doesn't make you smile and laugh and giggle.
Except for
there's a couple parts. There's a couple of parts, but I think this is such a beautifully done episode. It's such a well-crafted episode. The acting, Riley, who plays Rock, the girl who does the voice for Rock, is superb. I think Kate Mulgrew is at the top of her Janeway game in this episode. The rest of the cast as well. The animation is great.
Yeah.
This show's clicking on all things. So, but I can also understand it's not the most fun episode that we've had. And I think even the Star Trek Prodigy creators would say that. So, all right, Jude, well, that's going to wrap us up then for today here at Murf's Turf.
Bye, guys. See you next time.
Yeah, see us next time. Hey, email us, tweet, leave us ratings and reviews.
Yeah.
We'll read those on next week's episode. Murf's Turf Podcast, gmail.com. Follow us at Murf's Turf Pod. I guess that's it. Hey, listen to us on Discovering Trek.
Yeah.
Prodigy.
And annyeonghaseyo or annyeongjaehaseyo.
Bye, guys.
Bye.